What most men think about game and pick up is that they're learning these techniques, they're learning these skills to impress women. And that's not how it is, guys. That's not how it is. I mean, you might think that game is a bunch of tricks and techniques that you might learn so that you can go out to a bar and pick up some beautiful woman. But if you view game like that, you're never going to be good at it. And firstly, it's not like that. Good game is basically you going out, talking to a bunch of girls, talking to a bunch of guys, and having an amazing time while doing that and pumping your own state with each interaction. Now guys, focus on this, pumping your own state with each interaction.
You look like a vampire! You look like a vampire!
I
The number one secret to having consistently good night outs, you're going out every night, you're going to have a good night every night, is basically self-amusement. Now that is the difference between the people who close and the people who lose.
I find you really cute, yeah.
Okay.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Why are you leaving?
Now, self-amusement is basically your own state, how you manage your own mood, your own state when you're in the field, talking to a bunch of people, socializing, trying to pick up these beautiful girls. Now, I want you to imagine this, alright? I want you to imagine this. I want you to close your eyes and imagine that you're out in a club. You're out in a club and you see a really beautiful girl, a really attractive girl, standing there waiting for you to approach her. So you gather all the courage, you walk towards her and you approach her.
Hey, what's up?
Nothing.
Hey, you know Pac-Man?
Now, things can go two ways. Either she likes you, she loves you, she wants to go home with you then and there, or maybe she does not. She does not like you at all. She does not like you at all and she rejects you. But understand guys, if you place a lot of value on what she's thinking, how she's feeling, or on her response to carry the conversation forward, then you're already playing a losing game. Because this is something which is out of your control, alright? Now imagine this scenario, a girl is having a really bad day. Maybe a dog just died. And you're over there, you're just walking around in the park or someplace. And you see this beautiful girl, she's just seated over there and you're like, okay, I'm gonna approach her. And you approach her and she's having a really bad day. She's going to take out all of that bad day on you. Now, this is something which is not in your control. This is something which you cannot be aware of. This is something which is completely the external. This is something which is really not in your control. So, at the end of the day, you only have to care about things which are in your control. And what is in your control is how you manage your own state, how you amuse yourself when you're talking to her, so that you pump up your own state. And instead of focusing on what she's thinking about you or how she's feeling about you, you're more focused on how you're feeling with what you're saying. Now, most men, when they're going out at night, they place a lot of value on what the woman is thinking about them, what the entire crowd is thinking about them, and because of this, they face something called a state crash. Now, I'm sure you must have heard about this, is that a person, who's, again, state crash also happens because you have really high expectations. Try to put down your expectations of having a good interaction. Try to put down your expectations of having a good night out, because why a state crash happens is when you think that, okay, you expect it to go a certain way, it doesn't go that way, and then your state crashes, your emotional state crashes. So if you're feeling extremely positive, the next moment, you're going to feel horrible. Alright, and this is why people have dreadful night outs, where they just want to go back home from the club. And I've seen this has happened with me as well in the past. When I'm in the club, and I remember this, this was back in I think 2012, and I was in the club and I was, doing a lot of approaches, but I was getting rejected, and because I placed a lot of value on the outcome instead of pumping my own state, instead of making game fun for me, I was more focused on getting the girl. Because of that, I was getting rejected left, right and center. And there was this one night, I was just talking to my wing and I was like, hey man, I think we've got like 20 rejections by now, I think it's time to go home. And my wing is like, no man, let's do another 20, let's do another 20. And that's why I would always suggest that you go out with the wing to do some approaches, because it really helps you push your game up. Now, that is what a state crash is, alright? A state crash is when you start contemplating about life, when you're in the field, when you're trying to talk to some beautiful girls. And guys, never do that. Even if you're facing a state crash, the only way to get out of it is taking more action and pumping your own state up, and we're going to talk about it, how to do that. But before that, you need to know what state is. Now, state is basically finding the balance between a challenge and the skill. You can achieve flow state when the skill balances the challenge. But if you start placing a lot of value on the challenge, it automatically starts appearing bigger than your own skill. And guys, understand, that is what outcome dependency is. You're dependent on a certain outcome. You're expecting a particular response or a particular outcome, and once you're expecting a particular outcome or a response, it's very easy to have a bad night out. It's very easy to have a state crash. It's very easy to feel sad, miserable because the expectations are not met. So whenever you're going out in the field, always pat yourself on the back for even the littlest things that you do. And I used to teach my students a lot about this, whenever, even if they're doing an approach, even if a guy who's doing game for probably like 2 to 3 years, even if he's doing an approach, I tell him, hey man, you should pat yourself on the back. Give yourself some credit because you actually did that approach. And that's how you uplift yourself with each and every approach. And that's what I make my students do on the boot camp as well. So even if they get rejected, even if they're rejected maybe like 5 to 6 times, it doesn't matter. The 7th approach is gonna be better than the 6th and the 5th approach because they're pumping their state up with each approach. So if you really want to have a good night out every time, try to change the way you view game. Game is not something you're doing for the woman, it's something that you're doing for yourself. Alright? It's something that you're doing to pump up your own state, to feel happy about the interactions that you're having. You're enjoying the female energy over there, but at the end of the day, it's all about you. Now, the moment you try to focus on the girl, the moment you make the game all about that one particular girl, it's a game that is lost. Because once you place a lot of value on her, everything that you do is subconsciously gonna appear extremely needy, or it's gonna come from a low vibrational energy. So instead of playing the game to get the girl, try to play the game to pump up your own state with each and every interaction and try to feel more happy about just being out there, talking to a bunch of people and socializing. The real difference between a beginner and an advanced guy is the beginner is not really enjoying the process. When he's going out to game, he's doing it like a task. Alright, this is what I have to do, this is the next approach, this is the next approach. And that is a beginner. The advanced guy, when he's going out, he's having so much fun while he's doing game. And guys, I've seen this with my own infields. I was segregating my infields and I was just checking, okay, this was a fucking good night. And how do I know that? Because I've done 40 approaches and I don't feel like I've done any approaches. Alright? But if there's a beginner guy, he's like, okay, I have to do 5 approaches. That's the initial, boot camp challenge that we'll give you if you ever come to the boot camp. And I gave the challenge to a guy. He's like, oh, I'm done with 1, I'm done with 2, I'm done with 3. And that is how you know that a person is beginner, because he's not enjoying that. For him, it's a task. But a guy who's an advanced guy, he's pumping his state with each and every approach. So he's gotten in the state where he's happy, he's enjoying, he's excited, he's enthusiastic. Girls are getting drawn towards him, and that's when you really you lose the count. You actually lose the count of how many girls you've approached, how many guys you've approached, and that count really doesn't matter anymore at that point of time. So that is the difference, because at the end of the day, the beginner has not been numbed by rejections. But the advanced guy, he's gone out so many times that he's gotten rejected so many times that he's become completely numb of rejections. He realizes that it's not about the woman out there, but it's about what holds true value, which is himself and his time, and he values it a lot more than the woman he's interacting with, and that's why he's pumping his own state up at all times, and girls are getting drawn towards it, because who doesn't like fun? While the beginner is thinking, hey, what are the best things to say? Should I say this? Should I say that? Maybe if I touch her like this, she's gonna get turned on. Maybe she likes me, maybe she does not. And with all these thoughts, the beginner is stuck inside his own head, and because of that, he's not able to express himself. And the girls are not drawn towards him. The girls are talking to him, maybe being polite, but usually the girls are not really attracted to him because he's lost in his own head. He's not really enjoying the process of talking to the girl. Instead of enjoying the process, he's making it a bigger stress. What should I say next? Am I impressing her? He's trying to seek her validation as well, and girls can sense it. Girls can sense it really that, okay, this guy's trying to seek some validation from me. Why is that? What does he need? Why does he need my validation to be happy? That means that his ecosystem of positive emotions is not there. Alright, the guy does not have an ecosystem of positive emotions. He's trying to draw all of those positive emotions from the girl, and that is a leechy behavior. Now, anytime you're doing that, you will see that your conversations will only go up till a point. Your conversations will go probably to a basic conversation, and as soon as the basic conversation ends, it's going to die down. And with this, guys, I'd also like to talk about the biggest challenge, the biggest problem that I faced in pickup in my own journey, and how I overcame it was, at the point of maybe 2 years in the game, I was getting mediocre results. But sometimes my nights were horrible. My nights were so horrible that I would come back home after being rejected 40-50 times in one day, and I would just think, I would sit in the corner of the room and I would just think, why am I even doing this? If I feel so sad about myself, if I can't even look at myself in the mirror after coming back home, why am I even doing this? And that's when I realized, okay, if this is not fun for me, how long can I do it? Maybe I can do it another month, maybe I can push another 3 months, but I cannot do it now. I will not be able to get good at this. So I realized that I have to make certain things fun for me. And for me personally, back then, opening was probably the biggest challenge that I was facing because I had a lot of approach anxiety. And apart from that, I used to hate rejections as well. So I thought, okay, how can I make the whole process fun for me? First of all, I'm anyways not getting laid that much, so I should probably not think about getting laid because I was too dependent on the outcome at that time, and I completely shifted from outcome dependency to just enjoying the moment. And what I realized was 1 month I gave myself a challenge, and guys, if you're stuck in this kind of a situation, always give yourself a challenge. So 1 month I gave myself the challenge that I'm going to go out, I'm not going to take any numbers, I'm just going to enjoy the presence of the girl. I'm just going to enjoy the conversation that we're having. And with that month, my game literally skyrocketed. It literally skyrocketed because after a month, I was talking to girls and they were chasing me. They were like, hey, I want your number, I want to talk to you. Why? Because I didn't want anything from them. I didn't need anything from them. Now, it was not an overnight thing. I will share with you some tips that I used in my game to help me with self-amusement, and maybe they can help you too. Now guys, for everyone, amusement is going to be slightly different. For me, it's a little obnoxious, it's a little out there, but for you, it might be different. And the first tactic I use is the lie plot line. Now, whenever I'm talking to a girl, I'm saying so much shit. Alright, I'm saying so much shit. For example, I'm talking to a girl, I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm a South Indian porn star. Yeah, you have not seen any movies? You have not seen any of my movies? Or something like that. Now, I'm saying it with a straight face. And what I'm doing is, basically, I'm saying so much shit, so many lies. And I'm just seeing whether she's going to believe it. And guys, 99% of the girls out there, they're going to believe anything you fucking say. And what happens is, when I'm using the lie plot line, it pumps up my own state so much that when I see the girl believing that, I'm like, wow, she's going to believe anything I fucking say. And it's sort of an evil pleasure, I would say. It's sort of an evil pleasure, but it pumps up my state too much. And it's actually a pretty good thing that you should use when you just start out with your gaming session, because this is going to get you out of your head. Another thing that I use in my game a lot is obnoxious questions. So whenever I'm talking to a girl, alright, maybe it's a serious conversation, maybe it's just a conversation going nowhere, and the girl is telling me about herself, maybe she's telling me how she came to Delhi, how she flew to Delhi, and I'm just talking to her, having a conversation, and I would just be like, oh, how was the wind at the airport, right? And why do I do this is because it will give her a pump of emotions, it will pump her emotions up, and apart from that, it will grab her attention like this, alright? So if a girl is losing attention or she's losing interest, she'll be like, oh, why did he ask me that? Why would he ask me that? And I would ask different questions like, so, a normal conversation is going on, the girl is telling me what she does and all, I'm like, okay, that's pretty interesting. Do you believe in God? Do you believe in God? How's your relationship with your father? Now, guys, again, I'm not doing it one question after the other because then it's going to look really creepy. What I'm doing is I'm going to have a conversation, sprinkle these questions in the conversation. Another reason why I do this is because girls are going to obsess. Why did he ask me that question? What is he thinking about? Why did he ask me if I have a good relationship with my father or not? Is he looking for something serious? And the more the girl thinks about you, the more she is going to chase you. So that's why I would add these questions, and apart from that, this also helps me get out of my own head and enjoy the moment even further. Now, another old school pickup tactic which really helped me with self-amusement was sacrificing the lamb, and this was by R.S.G. Julian. It was a pretty old tactic which is basically you sacrificing the first few interactions for the greater good, which is for the rest of the night. And what it means is you go up to the first few girls that you're talking to and you say so much obnoxious shit that's on your mind that you really don't hold yourself back. You really don't hold yourself back. You express yourself fully and you go there to get rejected, basically. You go there to get rejected. So now you don't have the fear of rejection anymore for the second or the third set. But understand this, guys, when I used to use this, sacrificing the lamb, there was a lot of times when I'm going in an interaction, it's the first interaction, and I just want to, burn it to the ground, and I want to say something so stupid that the girl is going to judge me. But because I'm doing all of that, the girl gets addicted to me. She gets attracted to me because she sees how less of a fuck I give, how carefree I am in the conversation, and she enjoys all of that. She enjoys all of that. So once you're doing this activity, don't be surprised if the initial few sets that you're going to sacrifice turn out to be a lot better. Now, another thing one of my wings used to do back in the day was he would just go to a girl and he would just have this one phrase or two phrases, and he would just continuously keep on saying them, and he'd just go up, talk to a girl. Yeah, so how are you? Like a dog. What's your name? Like a dog. So he would just test this, and this would pump his own state up. So guys, self-amusement is completely subjective. Alright, it's completely subjective. What's amusing for me might not be amusing for you. And what's amusing for you might not be amusing for me. But again, this is one of the key aspects of pickup, which is the difference between a beginner and an advanced guy, the guy who gets the results and the guy who does not get the results. This is your coach Arnav, and I hope to see you in the field.